Story 1. I work as a Transportation Security Administration officer at one of the busiest airports in the country. Been doing this job for about 8 years now, and let me tell you, I've seen it all. Started this career after getting laid off from my previous job at a manufacturing plant. Needed steady work with good benefits, and despite all the crazy stories you hear, I actually enjoy helping keep people safe when they travel. Most days are pretty routine. Sure, you get the occasional person who forgot they had a water bottle or someone who packed their shampoo in their carry-on. But most passengers are understanding when you explain the rules. They either throw the item away or check their bag. Simple stuff. But last Tuesday was different. That's the day I met Karen. It started like any normal morning shift. The security line was moving at a decent pace, and I was working the X-ray machine with my colleague operating the metal detector. Around 10 a.m., this woman in her 50s approached my station. She was dressed in expensive-looking clothes and had this attitude like she owned the place. She placed her carry-on bag on the conveyor belt, and immediately I could see something unusual on the screen. There was this massive bottle taking up most of the space in her bag. Ma'am, I need to check your bag. There's a large liquid container in here." Karen, "What? No, that's impossible. Everything in there is fine." I opened her bag and pulled out what had to be the biggest bottle of perfume I've ever seen. This thing was enormous, easily a full gallon. The label reads some fancy French name I couldn't pronounce. I'm sorry, but you can't bring this through security. The limit for liquids is 3.4 ounces. And this is way over that limit. Karen, are you kidding me? Do you have any idea how much that perfume costs? That's a limited edition bottle worth more than your monthly salary. I understand it's expensive, but the rules apply to everyone. You'll need to either throw it away or go back and check your bag. That's when she really started getting worked up. Her face turned red, and she began raising her voice. Karen, this is ridiculous. I travel all the time, and nobody has ever stopped me before. You people don't know what you're doing. My supervisor noticed the commotion and walked over to help. Supervisor, what seems to be the problem here? Karen, your employee is trying to steal my perfume. This is medical perfume that I need for my condition. Medical perfume. Karen, yes. I have a rare skin condition that requires this specific perfume to treat it. It's prescribed by my doctor. Supervisor, ma'am, even if this were medication, which perfume isn't, the container size still exceeds our limits. Medical liquids over 3.4 ounces need to be declared separately and require documentation. Karen, I don't need documentation. I'm telling you it's medical, and that should be enough. Don't you people understand that some passengers have special needs? The line behind her was getting longer, and other passengers were starting to look annoyed. A businessman behind her checked his watch and sighed loudly. Supervisor, I'm going to need you to either dispose of the perfume or exit the security area to check your bag. Those are your only options. Karen, fine. You want me to throw it away? I'll throw it away. Before either of us could react, she grabbed the bottle and unscrewed the cap. The smell hit us immediately. It was this overwhelming floral scent that made my eyes water. Ma'am, please don't. But it was too late. She turned the bottle upside down and started pouring the entire contents all over the floor. The perfume splashed everywhere, creating this massive puddle that reeked so strongly that people 20 feet away started coughing and covering their noses. Karen, there. Happy now? I hope you're satisfied that you made me waste a $1,000 bottle of perfume. Supervisor, security to checkpoint 3. Security to checkpoint 3 immediately. Within minutes, our security team arrived. The smell was so overpowering that they had to shut down our checkpoint temporarily and bring in fans to clear the air. Passengers were being redirected to other lines, causing delays throughout the entire security area. Security officer, ma'am, you're going to need to come with us. Karen, what? Why? I did what you asked. I got rid of the perfume. Security officer, you created a safety hazard and disrupted airport operations. We need to speak with you privately. Karen, this is outrageous. I have a flight to catch. Do you know who I am? I'm going to sue this entire airport. Me, what flight were you supposed to catch? Karen, the 11:30 to Miami. I have a very important business meeting. I looked at the clock. It was already 10:45, and with all this commotion, there was no way she was making that flight. As security escorted her away, she kept screaming about how unfair everything was and how she was going to get everyone fired. Meanwhile, the cleaning crew arrived with mops and industrial fans to deal with the perfume lake she'd created on our floor. The businessman who had been waiting behind her walked up to my station. Businessman, is she serious about that being medical perfume? Me, between you and me, I've never heard of any medical condition that requires a gallon of designer perfume to treat. Businessman, some people, right? The rest of the passengers in line were actually pretty understanding about the delay. A few even thanked us for handling the situation professionally. One elderly lady commented that she'd never seen such childish behavior from a grown adult. About 30 minutes later, my supervisor came back from dealing with the aftermath. Supervisor, well, she missed her flight. Security is dealing with her now, and she'll probably be banned from flying for a while. The cleaning crew says it's going to take hours to get that smell out of here completely. Me, did she really think perfume qualified as medical equipment? Supervisor, people will say anything when they think it'll get them what they want. But creating a hazardous situation like that? That's serious business. The checkpoint reopened after an hour, but you could still smell traces of that perfume for the rest of my shift. Every time I caught a whiff, I remembered Karen's shocked expression when security told her she was missing her flight. Sometimes I wonder if she ever made it to that important business meeting. Probably not, considering she was likely spending the day dealing with airport security and rebooking flights. All over a bottle of perfume that she could have simply checked in her luggage from the start. Just another day at airport security, I guess. At least this story gives me something interesting to tell at family gatherings. Story 2. I've been working as a children's librarian at our local public library for about 3 years now. It's honestly the best job I've ever had. After spending 5 years in corporate customer service, dealing with demanding clients and impossible deadlines, working with kids felt like a breath of fresh air. Sure, the pay isn't amazing, but seeing a child's face light up when they discover a new favorite book makes every penny worth it. My favorite part of the week is our Saturday morning story time. It started small with just a handful of families, but word spread quickly. Now we regularly get 20 to 30 kids ranging from toddlers to elementary school age, plus their parents and caregivers. I spend hours each week carefully selecting books that will engage different age groups, planning activities, and setting up our cozy reading corner with colorful cushions and stuffed animals. This particular Saturday started like any other. I had chosen The Very Hungry Caterpillar as our main book because it's perfect for the mixed age group we typically get. The toddlers love the bright colors and simple story, while the older kids enjoy counting along and predicting what comes next. I arrived early to set up, arranging the children in a semicircle on their little carpet squares, with parents sitting in chairs behind them. We were about 15 minutes into story time, right at the part where the caterpillar is eating through all the different foods, when the door to the children's section burst open. A woman I'd never seen before stormed in, her high heels clicking loudly on the floor. She was probably in her 40s, wearing an expensive-looking blazer and carrying a designer purse. Her hair was perfectly styled, and she had that particular look of someone who is used to getting her way. The kids all turned around to look at her, and several of the younger ones seemed startled by the sudden interruption. I paused my reading and smiled politely. Me, good morning. Feel free to find a seat anywhere. We're just reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Karen, actually, you need to stop reading that book right now. I blinked, thinking I must have misheard her. Me, I'm sorry. Karen, my daughter is in this group, and she's already heard that book a million times. You need to read this instead. She pulled out a thick hardcover book from her purse. I couldn't see the title from where I was sitting, but it looked like it was meant for much older children. I appreciate the suggestion, but we've already started this story, and I've planned today's activities around it. Maybe you could suggest that book for next week. Karen, no, that's not acceptable. My daughter is gifted, and these baby books are beneath her intellectual level. She needs more challenging material. I glanced around the room. Most of our attendees today were between 2 and 5 years old. There were a few older kids, but even they seemed engaged with our current book. Several parents were starting to look uncomfortable with the disruption. I understand you want to challenge your daughter, but we have children of all ages here today. This book works well for our mixed group. If you're looking for more advanced books, I'd be happy to help you find some after story time. Karen, are you questioning my judgment about my own child's needs? Her voice was getting louder, and I could see some of the smaller children starting to look worried. One little girl had moved closer to her mom. Not at all. I just think it's best if we finish the book we started. The children were really enjoying it. Karen, well, they'll enjoy this one more. Trust me, I have a master's degree in education. She started walking toward me, clearly intending to take the book right out of my hands. I held it a little closer to my chest. Ma'am, I really need you to let me finish the story. You're welcome to stay and listen, but I can't switch books in the middle of story time. Karen, this is a public library. I pay taxes that fund your salary. You work for me, which means you need to do what I say. The tension in the room was getting thick. Some of the parents were starting to whisper to each other, and a few were gathering their things like they were thinking about leaving. I could feel my customer service training kicking in, but I also knew I had to protect the experience for all these other families. I understand your frustration, but my job is to provide programming that works for all the children here today. I've chosen this book specifically because it appeals to our entire age range. Karen, that's the problem with you people. No vision, no innovation. You're just going through the motions instead of actually educating these children. At this point, she was standing right next to me, reaching for the book in my hands. I pulled it away from her. Please don't grab the book from me. You're scaring the children. And it was true. Several of the younger kids were now crying, and most of the older ones were staring wide-eyed at the scene unfolding in front of them. Karen, I'm not scaring anyone. I'm trying to improve this pathetic excuse for an educational program. She made another grab for the book, more aggressively this time. I stood up quickly to get away from her, but she followed me. In her determination to get the book, she wasn't watching where she was stepping. One of the toddlers had left a small toy truck on the floor near the reading area. Karen stepped right on it, and her high heel immediately slipped out from under her. She went down hard, arms flailing, and landed sprawled across several of the floor cushions. The book she'd been trying to force me to read went flying and scattered some of the stuffed animals we had arranged for the kids to snuggle with during the story. For a moment, the room was completely silent, except for Karen groaning as she tried to get up. Then, unexpectedly, one of the 5-year-olds started giggling. Then another joined in. Within seconds, most of the kids were laughing, and even some of the parents were struggling not to smile. Karen struggled to her feet, her perfect hair now disheveled and her blazer twisted around. Her face was bright red, whether from embarrassment or anger, I couldn't tell. Karen, this is completely unprofessional. I'm reporting you to your supervisor. Ma'am, I think you should probably leave now. Karen, you can't make me leave a public space. But apparently, someone could. My colleague from the front desk had heard the commotion and called our security guard. He appeared in the doorway just as Karen was shouting about her rights as a taxpayer. Security guard, ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me. Karen, this is ridiculous. I was just trying to improve the quality of programming for these children. Security guard, you're disrupting a children's program and refusing to follow the librarian's instructions. You need to leave the building. As the security guard gently but firmly escorted Karen toward the exit. Something amazing happened. The kids started clapping and cheering. It wasn't mean-spirited, they were just relieved that the scary loud lady was going away and they could get back to their story. One little boy called out, "Can we finish the caterpillar story now?" Me, absolutely we can. I settled back down with a book, and the children quickly gathered around me again. The parents helped rearrange the cushions and pick up the scattered stuffed animals. Within a few minutes, it was like Karen had never been there at all. We finished, the very hungry caterpillar, did our counting activity, and even had time for a bonus story since we still had a few minutes left in our session. Several parents thanked me afterward for handling the situation professionally, and one mom mentioned that her daughter had been talking about how the librarian protected Storytime from the mean lady. The best part came about an hour later when my supervisor found me reshelving books in the picture book section. "Supervisor, I heard we had some excitement during Storytime today." Me, "Yeah, it was interesting." Supervisor, "The security guard filled me out. He also mentioned that the woman who was escorted out claimed she was going to file a complaint about you." My heart sank a little. Even though I knew I'd handled things appropriately, the thought of having to deal with a formal complaint was stressful. "Supervisor, don't worry. 3 different parents already called to tell me how well you handled the situation. They were impressed that you kept the focus on the children and didn't let one disruptive person ruin the experience for everyone else." Me, "Thanks. I was just trying to do my job." Supervisor, "Well, you did it well. Oh, and that woman? She's been banned from the library for 6 months. Turns out this isn't the first time she's caused problems here. Apparently, she once tried to reorganize our entire fiction section because she thought our alphabetical system was inefficient." I couldn't help but laugh at that. Some people just can't help themselves, I guess. But I'm grateful that my job lets me focus on the people who really matter, the kids who just want to hear a good story, and the families who appreciate having a safe, welcoming space to share that experience together. Story 3. I've been working at home improvement stores for almost 8 years now, starting as a cashier right out of high school and working my way up to assistant manager. I've seen it all: customers trying to return Christmas trees in February, people demanding refunds for tools they clearly dropped off a roof, and my personal favorite, the guy who tried to return a lawnmower after using it for an entire summer because grass stopped growing. But nothing prepared me for what happened last Tuesday. It was a typical Tuesday morning. The store was quiet, just a few contractors picking up supplies before the day got busy. I was behind the customer service counter, processing some paperwork, when she walked in. Middle-aged woman with that particular haircut, you know the one. She was dragging this beat-up cardboard box behind her, and I could already tell this wasn't going to be a simple exchange. "Karen, I need to return this drill." She hefted the box onto the counter with a loud thud. The box was falling apart, held together with what looked like 10-year-old tape. I could see our store logo on it, but it was faded and peeling. Me, "Sure, no problem. Do you have your receipt?" Karen, "I don't need a receipt. I bought this here." Me, "Well, I'll need some form of proof of purchase. When did you buy it?" Karen, "About 10 years ago." I blinked. 10 years. Our return policy clearly states 30 days, which is pretty standard. Even without a receipt, we sometimes make exceptions for recent purchases if we can look them up in our system. But 10 years? Me, "I'm sorry, but our return policy is 30 days. I can't process a return for something purchased 10 years ago." Karen, "That's ridiculous. This drill broke while my son was using it. It's defective." Me, "Ma'am, after 10 years of use, that's normal wear and tear. The manufacturer's warranty would have been your best option, but that's typically only good for a year or 2. Karen, "I don't care about warranties. I bought this piece of junk here, and now it's broken. I want my money back." Her voice was getting louder, and I noticed other customers starting to look over. I've dealt with difficult returns before, but something about her tone told me this was going to escalate quickly. Me, I understand your frustration, but I really can't authorize a return on a 10-year-old item. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Karen, you can help me by doing your job. The customer is always right. Me, I am doing my job, and part of that is following company policy. The policy exists for everyone's protection. She stared at me for a long moment, then started digging around in the box. The drill she pulled out looked like it had been through a war. The plastic housing was cracked. The cord was frayed in several places with electrical tape wrapped around it, and the chuck was completely seized up. Karen, look at this. This is clearly defective. It broke while my son was using it yesterday. Yesterday? This thing looked like it had been sitting in a garage for a decade. There was actually rust on some of the metal parts. Ma'am, I can see this drill has had significant use over many years. Even if I wanted to help, my manager would never approve this return. Karen, then get your manager. Actually, I am the assistant manager on duty today. Karen, then get the real manager. The store manager isn't in today, but I have the same authority to approve returns. That's when she really lost it. Her face turned red, and she started waving the drill around. Karen, this is unbelievable. I'm never shopping here again. This drill is broken, and I want my money back right now. Ma'am, please put the drill down. You're making other customers uncomfortable. Karen, I'll show you it's broken. Before I could stop her, she started looking around for an outlet. There was one right behind the counter that we use for testing small appliances and tools. I tried to intercept her, but she was surprisingly quick. Please don't plug that in. The wiring looks damaged. Karen, I'm going to prove to you that it's broken. She shoved the plug into the outlet. For a split second, nothing happened. Then there was this loud pop, followed by sparks shooting out of the outlet. The lights in our section went out immediately, and then the fire alarm started blaring. The drill was still plugged in, smoking, and Karen was just standing there with her mouth open. The smell of burned plastic and electrical components filled the air. Everyone needs to evacuate the building now. I grabbed the phone to call the fire department while shepherding customers toward the exits. Karen was still standing there, holding the smoking drill. Karen, I was just trying to show you it was broken. Ma'am, you need to leave the building immediately. The fire department arrived within minutes. Thankfully, there was no actual fire, just the electrical short that had triggered the sensitive smoke detectors in our system. But they had to inspect the entire electrical panel and that section of the store before we could reopen. While we were all standing outside waiting, my district manager showed up. He'd gotten the alert when our alarm system went off. I explained the whole situation to him while Karen stood nearby, still clutching that stupid drill. District manager, let me get this straight. She tried to return a 10-year-old drill, and when you explained our policy, she plugged it into your outlet and shorted the system. That's exactly what happened. He walked over to Karen, who suddenly looked much smaller than she had inside the store. District manager, ma'am, I'm going to need to see some identification. Karen, why? I'm the victim here. That outlet was faulty. District manager, you just caused thousands of dollars in damage and forced us to evacuate the entire store. I'm banning you from all of our locations permanently. Karen, you can't do that. I'm a customer. District manager, not anymore. You're not. If you set foot in any of our stores again, we'll have you arrested for trespassing. The fire marshal cleared us to reopen about 2 hours later, but we had to cordon off that entire section until an electrician could repair the outlet and inspect the wiring. Karen left without another word, still carrying that drill. Later that afternoon, my district manager pulled me aside. District manager, you handled that perfectly. Some people think throwing a tantrum will get them what they want, but we don't negotiate with people who put our employees and customers in danger. I've never seen anything like that before. District manager, in my 20 years with this company, I've only seen something that crazy maybe 3 times. The good news is we have it all on security cameras, So if she tries to dispute the ban or claim we were unfair, we have proof. The best part came a few days later. Our security team sent out Karen's photo and information to all the other home improvement stores in the area as a courtesy warning. Apparently, she tried this same stunt at 2 other places over the past month, though she hadn't caused any electrical damage at those locations. A week later, one of our regular contractor customers told me he'd seen her at a yard sale trying to sell a vintage drill, barely used. Some people never learn. The outlet got fixed, and we put up a small sign reminding customers that only store employees should test electrical items. But honestly, I never thought we'd need a sign for something that obvious. I still work there, and I still deal with difficult returns, but nothing has come close to the day Karen tried to prove her decade-old drill was broken by nearly burning down the store. Story 4. I work as a pool attendant at one of those fancy resort hotels downtown. Been doing this job for 3 years now, and I've seen my fair share of entitled guests. But nothing prepared me for what happened last weekend. I started working here right after dropping out of college. My parents weren't thrilled about it, but the pay was decent and I got to work outside. Plus, the tips from wealthy guests helped me save up money to go back to school eventually. Most days were pretty calm: hand out towels, clean the pool area, help guests with their chairs. Simple stuff. That Saturday started like any other. The weather was perfect, and the pool area was packed by noon. Families were scattered around the different cabanas, kids splashing in the shallow end, adults sipping drinks and reading books. I was doing my usual rounds when I noticed a woman in designer clothes and huge sunglasses storming toward cabana number 7. The family in that cabana had been there since morning. They had 2 young kids who were having the time of their lives in the pool. The parents seemed really nice. They'd even offered me some of their snacks earlier and asked about my day. They'd reserved the cabana for the whole weekend, which I knew because I'd helped them set up their stuff the day before. The woman in designer clothes, let's call her Karen, marched right up to their cabana and started talking loudly. "Karen, excuse me, I need this cabana immediately." The dad looked confused. "Dad, I'm sorry, what? We reserved this spot for the weekend." "Karen, well, I need it more. I'm doing a very important photo shoot for my Instagram. I have over 50,000 followers, and this is the perfect spot for my content." The mom stepped forward, clearly trying to stay polite. "Mom, we understand, but we paid for this cabana. The kids are having such a great time." "Karen, your kids can play anywhere. This is business for me. Do you know how much money I make from my posts?" I could see this was heading nowhere good, so I walked over to help. "Me, is there a problem here?" Karen spun around to face me. "Karen, yes, there's a huge problem. These people are refusing to give me this cabana. I need it for my photo shoot. Don't you know who I am?" "Me, ma'am, this family has a reservation for this cabana. I can check if any other spots are available." "Karen, I don't want another spot. I want this exact one. The lighting is perfect here, and the angle will showcase my new swimsuit line perfectly." The little boy, who couldn't have been more than 6, tugged on his mom's arm. "Kid, Mommy, why is the lady shouting?" This seemed to make Karen even angrier. "Karen, because your parents are being selfish. Don't they teach you to share?" The mom immediately stepped protectively in front of her kids. "Mom, don't talk to my children like that." "Karen, I'll talk however I want. I'm a paying customer too, and I demand better service." I tried to de-escalate the situation. "Me, ma'am, I really can show you some other great spots. Cabana 12 has amazing lighting too, and it's available right now." "Karen, no, I want this one, and I want it now. Get the manager." "Me, the manager is in a meeting, but I can help you find another solution." That's when Karen really lost it. "Karen, this is ridiculous. Do you people not understand that I'm an influencer? This photo shoot could bring thousands of people to this hotel." The dad had heard enough. "Dad, look, lady, we're not moving. We paid for this spot. We got here first, and we're staying. Karen, we'll see about that. She pulled out her phone and started dialing. Karen, hello, I need to speak to the hotel manager immediately. I'm being discriminated against by your staff and other guests. While she was on the phone, I quietly radioed my supervisor to give him a heads up. The family was looking really uncomfortable, and the kids were starting to get upset from all the yelling. After a few minutes, Karen hung up, looking smug. Karen, the manager will be here in 10 minutes, and when he sees what kind of revenue I can bring to this place, you'll all be sorry. But 10 minutes passed, then 20. No manager showed up. Karen kept calling back, getting more frustrated each time. Karen, this is unacceptable. I'm going to blast this hotel on all my social media accounts. The mom was trying to comfort her kids, who were now completely scared and confused. Mom, maybe we should just go back to the room. Dad, no way. We're not letting her bully us out of something we paid for. That's when Karen completely snapped. She started screaming at the top of her lungs. Karen, fine. If you won't give me what I deserve, I'll make sure everyone knows how terrible this place is. Before anyone could react, she ran toward the pool and jumped in fully clothed, designer clothes and all. She came up sputtering and screaming. Karen, help! They pushed me. I'm going to sue this hotel for assault. I'm going to sue all of you. Everyone around the pool stopped what they were doing and stared. Karen was flailing around in the water, still screaming about lawsuits and discrimination. I grabbed the pool hook and extended it to her. Ma'am, please grab onto this so I can help you out. Karen, don't touch me. This is evidence. You're all witnesses to this assault. My supervisor finally showed up. Drawn by all the commotion, he took one look at the scene and sighed. Supervisor, what happened here? Karen climbed out of the pool, dripping wet and furious. Karen, your staff and these people assaulted me. They threw me in the pool. I want them arrested. I want compensation. I'm going to sue everyone. The family was standing there in shock. The dad stepped forward. Dad, she's lying. She jumped in herself when she couldn't get our cabana. Karen, that's not true. They attacked me because I'm an influencer. This is jealousy and discrimination. My supervisor looked around at all the stunned guests, then back at Karen. Supervisor, ma'am, I'm going to need you to calm down. Karen, calm down. I was just assaulted. I demand to see the security footage. I demand justice. That's when my supervisor smiled slightly. Supervisor, the security footage. That's a great idea. He pointed up at the cameras positioned around the pool area. Supervisor, we have full coverage of this entire area. Every angle, crystal clear video, recorded 24/7. Would you like me to pull up the footage from the last 30 minutes? Karen's face went completely white. She looked up at the cameras like she was seeing them for the first time. Karen, those cameras are probably fake anyway. Supervisor, they're very real. In fact, let me radio security right now to start reviewing the footage. He pulled out his radio. Supervisor, security, this is the pool deck. I need you to review camera footage from the last hour. We have a guest claiming assault, and she's requesting to see the evidence. The radio crackled back. Security, copy that. Pulling up the footage now. Should have it ready in 5 minutes. Karen started backing away from the group. Karen, you know what? I don't have time for this. I have important business to attend to. Supervisor, ma'am, since you mentioned lawsuits and assault claims, I think it would be best if we reviewed that footage together. For accuracy. Karen, I changed my mind. I don't want to pursue this anymore. She started walking quickly toward the hotel entrance, leaving a trail of pool water behind her. Dad, so that's it. She can just leave after causing all this trouble. My supervisor nodded toward the cameras again. Supervisor, don't worry. We have everything recorded. If she tries to post anything false online about this incident, we have the evidence to set the record straight. The family ended up staying for the rest of their weekend, and the kids had a blast in the pool. They even gave me a big tip when they checked out and thanked me for handling the situation professionally. As for Karen, she never came back to the hotel. But my supervisor did tell me later that our security team had prepared a full incident report with video evidence, just in case she tried to make good on her lawsuit threats. Sometimes the entitled ones defeat themselves.